What's up, guys? It's Rip City Rundown, and I'm back with another video today discussing the contract that just broke. Nassir Little signs a 4-year extension with the Portland Trail Blazers worth up to $28 million for those 4 years, $7 million a year, and I'm going to discuss it with you guys today. So my first thoughts on this deal is this is not a lot of money at all. Now, Nassir hasn't shown a lot in his first 3 years. He's shown flashes, and we think he can be a lot better than this money, but this is still not a lot of money. Only $7 million a year for Nassir Little, who you very well think could be your starting small forward by the end of this season. That is an absolute steal. All the thoughts from all Blazers writers and reporters and Twitter fingers say that this is not a lot of money, and they are shocked that it's this low. Personally, I was thinking he was going to get around $10 million a year, maybe a little more, but I think this recent shoulder injury, as well as his struggles in the preseason, has probably bumped down his value in the eyes of the Blazers and even in the eyes of Nassir Little himself. So 4 years, $28 million. It's still a win-win for both sides. Don't get me wrong. You get a guy for a cheap deal that in year two could look absolutely amazing and like one of the best contracts in the NBA. And Nassir Little is still getting $7 million a year and $28 million and gets that 4-year security, which is something I do want to talk about a little bit later. But if you just look at Nassir Little and how he has looked so far in his career, he didn't play a lot, obviously, his first 2 years. 48 games played each his first 2 seasons and averaged 3 points and then 4 points. Never really made an impact until this past season, where in December and January, he was possibly one of the best players on the Blazers. But for the full year, he played 42 games, started 23 games, played about 26 minutes a game, and averaged nearly 10 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, and a block. And he shot only 33% from three, but in that month where he was starting, he was nearly a 40% three-point shooter. Then obviously he had that shoulder injury, cost him the rest of the season, whether he actually cost himself the rest of the season or the Blazers just shut him down. But he did miss the final couple months of the season, and he hasn't really regained his footing since. He didn't win the starting job for small forward as we expected him to, but Chauncey Billups said that come the future, he very well could be the starter. He just wasn't ready yet. And then I made a video earlier this summer, around early August, that was saying Nassir Little will probably have a breakout season this year. And that was me expecting he was going to be a starter. And that had me looking at the Basketball Reference player projection for the season. And his player projection, according to Basketball Reference, is they expect him to average 13.8 points, 7.7 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and a steal. That is an amazing season for Nassir Little. I think they probably had the projection that he was going to be the starter. Now he's probably going to be the second man, maybe third man off the bench, maybe gaining that starter role come the new year. But if Nassir Little comes anywhere close to those numbers, this is an absolute steal of a contract. I really don't know how you can look at this contract and say it's a bad deal. The only way I can see you say that is if you don't watch Blazer basketball. I mean, Nassir Little has showed flashes of being a very, very good role player in this league. And a role player for only $7 million is amazing. We just saw Brandon Clark get 4 years, $52 million. That's upwards of $13 million a year, or around $13 million a year. And Nassir Little on almost half of that is amazing, because I think Nassir Little could grow into a player that contributes just as much as Brandon Clark. So I think this is a great deal for Nassir. I think this is a great deal for the Blazers. And I want to talk about that 4-year mark, because now we're starting to see a trend with all these Blazers players that have signed. So Joe Cronin has said multiple times that this team is not complete. This team is not going to contend this year. This team is just going to figure out who they are this year and then try to contend in future years. And his signings have demonstrated just that. He's not doing any 1-year deals, 2-year deals for now. All his contracts are for the future. Nurk signed that 4-year deal. We can talk about if that's a good deal or a bad deal, but he signed a 4-year deal. Anthony Simons, the 4-year, $100 million deal. Gary Payton, 3 years. Jabari Walker signed a 4-year extension. Obviously, Shaden's going to be here for 4 years because he was a first-round pick. Trendon Watford is here for 4 years. And now you have Nassir Little on a 4-year deal. All are getting paid what could come 2023, come come 2024, 2025, which not only could it be a bargain in this year's salary cap, but that salary cap is going to rise in the next couple of years, which makes it even more of a bargain. So that's why come 3 years, this team is probably going to have a lot of quality players. Who knows, Shaden Sharp could turn into an all-star. Nassir Little could turn into a quality starter on like his OG Anunoby type stuff. Simons could turn into an all-star. Watford could be a key role player. Jabari Walker could be a key role player. All these guys could grow, and they're not on a lot of money, which could mean Portland's never been a big free agent target, a big trade target in general for any player. But they could be come 2024, 2025, when they'll probably have a lot of cap space. Obviously, Damian Lillard's making that exuberant amount of money, but you could possibly get someone to pair alongside Damian Lillard, along with the current core. This leaves a lot of room for a Jeremy Grant extension. We saw how important he is this preseason. So Jeremy Grant, I think, is next on the extension list. I expect him to get a 3 to 4 year extension. The question is, how much money will he get? Will the Blazers continue to go in a cheap route, which by no means means it's a cheap contract in terms of just life-changing money, but in the terms of the NBA and how it's currently structured, these are all great contracts. So let me know how you think about the Nassir Little contract. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's a perfect deal for him? How do you feel about it from a Blazers perspective? Do you see Nassir Little making his big jump this season? Personally, I do. Come the second half of the season, I think he's going to end up being a big part of this team. So let me know all that stuff in the comments. Subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.